Hey everyone, how are you doing? Welcome and thank you for joining me. If this is your first time on the channel or if you haven't subscribed yet, you guys do me a favor and go ahead and hit that plus button. And when you're done, comment below so that I can personally thank each and every one of you. Today, we're going to be discussing how to repair your own credit. We're going to be discussing the do's and the don'ts of the credit repair process, how to challenge inaccurate information that you find on your credit reports, as well as the quickest ways to increase your credit scores. If you have previously been getting denied for credit, or if you're in the credit repair process, or you don't know where to start the process, or if your scores are stuck, staying in the same place, this video is for you. By the time we get to the end of this video, you should know how to take the correct steps to increase your credit scores, no matter your current credit situation, you guys. So go ahead, get your pen and your paper and take notes. Let's go. The first thing we're going to be discussing is the do's and the don'ts. Number one, you guys, no Credit Karma. Credit Karma is not going to provide you with account numbers. And you're going to need account numbers when you get ready to challenge information with the credit bureaus. If you don't have access to your credit reports, you can go to www.annualcreditreport.com to access all three of your credit reports for free. I personally use a 3B credit report, which is a 3-bureau credit report. And that basically lists all three of your credit reports side by side. If you would like access to a copy of your 3B credit reports, the link will be down below in the comments. Number two, you guys, no disputing online. When you dispute online, you lose some of your personal rights. The credit bureaus do not have to notify the furnisher that account has been removed from your credit reports. Thus, the following month, the furnisher reports the account again. That is why accounts get reinserted on your credit report once they are deleted by disputing online. So that's one reason, you guys, we don't want to dispute online. Another reason is we always want to have documentation of everything that we're doing. So we're going to want everything in black and white. No more ignoring collection letters in the mail or collection calls. When you're in the credit repair process, when you get letters from creditors now, you're going to want to request validation for that account. If you get a phone call from a creditor, you're not going to want to ignore that call, but you're also not going to want to give them your personal information. What you're going to want to do is to let them know to only notify you or only communicate or contact you by mail. Now that we know the do's and the don'ts of the process, let's jump right into step one of the process, which is getting access to your credit reports. You're going to need to obtain all three of your credit reports: Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. Once you obtain your credit reports, you're going to want to look through your credit reports and identify any information that does not belong, any incomplete information, any inaccurate information. You're going to want to take note of that information. You're going to want to start with your name. When you start with your name, check your addresses. You're going to go through your personal information. You're only going to need one name reporting, preferably your first name, your middle initial, and your last name. You're only going to need one address reporting, and that's going to be your current address. You need to make sure that your date of birth and your social security number is reporting correctly. You also need to get your employers and your phone numbers removed during this process. It's going to be important for you to clean your personal information up first, because that will help you to get more inaccurate information or more inaccurate accounts removed from your credit reports. When you are challenging information on your credit reports, for instance, if you are challenging a collection account, the credit bureaus are going to use information from your credit profile, such as your personal information, to help verify that account. If that information is not there to assist them, credit bureaus actually have to do a full reinvestigation, which can actually help you to get better results and more deletions. So the first thing we're going to do is clean up that personal information. One name, one address, no employers, no phone numbers. You don't need any of that information reporting. Once you finish the credit repair process and you begin to apply for things again, that information will get put back on there. When you apply for something, for a loan or something, whatever information you put on your application and the information that they put in when they process your credit application, that's the information that goes to the credit bureaus. That's how your personal information ends up on your credit reports. So during the process, it's going to be okay to remove your personal information because it will get put back on there when you apply for something else. After you clean your personal information, we're going to move along to your inquiries. Your inquiries are 10% of your credit score, which is 55 points. And you don't need more than 2 or 3 inquiries reporting on your credit report. More than that can damage your score and cause you to lose points. If you have inquiries reporting on your credit report, I know most of you have heard about the 24-hour inquiry removal, where you call the credit bureaus and get transferred to the fraud department and ask for them to move your inquiries. That works very well with Experian. Most of the time, it doesn't work with Equifax and TransUnion. You can also dispute your inquiries by sending a letter to the credit bureaus stating that you did not give permissible purpose. You can also contact the furnisher directly, the company that is reporting the inquiry, and request the same information from them. I've had a better success rate with my inquiries when I contact the furnisher that's actually reporting the inquiry versus just contacting the credit bureaus. If you dispute an inquiry that is attached to an open account, you risk the chance of that account being shut down and closed, because anytime you dispute an inquiry, it's going to most likely be listed as fraud. So you have to be careful about that. When disputing inquiries, make sure you are not disputing any inquiries that are tied to an open account. If you dispute an inquiry that is tied to an open account, you risk the chance of that account being shut down and closed, because anytime you dispute an inquiry, it's going to most likely be listed as fraud. So you have to be careful about that. After your inquiries are your public records on your credit reports. If you have any public records reporting on your credit reports, the first thing you're going to want to do is reach out to the credit bureaus and simply ask them to verify the information. While you're doing that, you're also going to send a letter to the courthouse that is reporting on your credit report as the court for the bankruptcy. You're going to send them a letter and ask them, do they verify information for the credit bureaus and how they verify information. The courthouse is going to tell you that they do not verify for the credit bureaus. They're going to send you a letter stating that. So when you send them the letter asking for verification, you're going to also need to send a stamped self-addressed envelope so that they can send you that letter back, because the courthouse is going to respond and they are going to tell you that they do not verify information for any credit reporting agencies. You're going to get that letter and you're going to make a copy of it, because you're going to need it to send to Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. Not only that, you guys, after you request verification for that bankruptcy, Equifax and Experian are probably going to respond back by letting you know that they got that information from LexisNexis. TransUnion is going to respond back letting you know that they got their information from LCI. So you're also going to want to reach out to LexisNexis and LCI. You're going to want to request your consumer reports from them. Once you get your reports from them, the letter that you got from the courthouse, you're going to attach that letter to a letter asking for verification of the bankruptcy for LexisNexis and LCI. So you're going to also ask LexisNexis and LCI to provide you with verification of that bankruptcy and let them know that the courthouse told you that they do not verify, and you're going to want to send them that letter that you got from the courthouse. After your bankruptcy is removed from LexisNexis and LCI, you will have a better chance at getting it removed from your credit reports. But as long as LexisNexis and LCI is able to verify that information to the credit bureaus, it'll stay on your credit reports. And sometimes even after you get your bankruptcy removed from LexisNexis and LCI, the credit bureaus still will not delete the bankruptcy. And then you'll have to go on to report them to the CFPB, which is the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And you would also present them all that information that you've been sending to LexisNexis and the credit bureaus, as well as the letter from the courthouse. That should help you get your bankruptcy removed. After you tackle your public records, if you have them, we're going to move right along to charge-offs. There's going to be all kind of charge-offs, even if you have, say, a repossession that's been charged off. This is going to be discussing any charge-off. With your charge-offs, the first thing you're going to want to do is check the statute of limitation. And you're going to want to check the statute of limitation with your state. That's going to determine how you go about disputing that account. The statute of limitations is going to determine if you're still legally liable for that account. For example, say you're disputing a charge-off account for a credit card and it has a balance of $2,500 and it's still inside of the statute of limitations and it's a charge-off account. That means that that account is still with the original creditor and it is still inside the statute of limitation. What that means is when you get to requesting verification and validation for that account, you could end up getting served for them to try to win a judgment against you. So if you have a charge-off account and it is still inside the statute of limitations, I'm not saying not to dispute it, because you can dispute it and you can have success getting it removed from your credit reports. But understand as well that you could be putting yourself in jeopardy of being sued for that account. And if that's the case, just be prepared to make a settlement, because you're going to need to still get that account taken care of. And if they try to take you to court, it's going to be okay if it is your account. You know it's yours and it's still inside the statute of limitations and you're still legally liable for that account. It's going to be okay to make a settlement. That will actually help you. And if it's a charge-off and it's still inside the statute of limitations and you do make a settlement, that will stop them from later down the line selling that account to a debt collector and you getting another negative mark on your credit report. And if your charge-off is outside of the statute of limitations, you can dispute that. And if it is still with the original creditor, you guys, you may still have to make a settlement to get that account removed, but you can dispute it more vigorously because you don't have to be afraid of being taken to court. But if it's still with the original creditor, 9 times out of 10, they're still going to have the proper paperwork to verify and validate that account. So you will need to make a settlement. But if it's outside of the statute of limitations, you can agree to a smaller amount for your settlement because they can't sue you anyway. Can't sue you, so you can negotiate for a smaller balance if that account is outside of the statute of limitation versus inside the statute of limitations. If you have a charge-off such as a repossession, you're going to want to check the statute of limitations in your state and the laws in your state for that repossession, because you're going to want to make sure that the company actually follow all those guidelines. Hey, you guys. Now let's talk collections, which is my favorite. And before I even give you this information, I want you to do me a favor first. If you watch this video, I want you to follow the information or the instructions that I give you before you pay a collection account again. Please do that for me. Comment down below and say, okay, Jennifer, just so that I know you hear me and that you feel me and that you understand what I'm saying. Let me know down below in the comments. Okay, you guys, if you have a collection, before you run and pay that collection, before you even make a settlement or request a pay for delete, type up a simple letter, send it certified mail, and request validation directly from the collection agency. Most of the time, the collection agency, they're either going to delete the account or try to provide you or attempt to provide you with validation. When a third-party collection agency validates an account, it needs to come directly from the original creditor. It cannot just be some information typed up on the third-party collection agencies or the debt collector's letterhead. It needs to come directly from the original creditor. If the debt collector is able to validate your collection account is still inside the statute of limitations and is reporting correctly to the credit bureaus, you can then reach out and make a settlement or request a pay for delete from the company. You can also request a 1099-C on debt that is outside of the statute of limitations. But if you request a 1099-C, you will be sent a 1099 to report that information on your taxes the following year. So you will have to pay taxes. You will have to pay taxes on any amount of debt that is canceled, but that is an option as well. If you have student loans that are currently in collection, if they are private student loans, you can handle those just like you handle any other charge-off or collection account. But make sure you check your statute of limitation, because depending on your balances, you could risk the chance of the company trying to win a judgment against you. If it is a federal student loan and it is in collections or you have defaulted, the only way to get rid of that debt or to get rid of that student loan is to contact your student loan furnisher and see if you qualify for the rehabilitation program. The rehabilitation program is a 9-month program where you will have to set up monthly payments. Most of the time, they're anywhere from $0 to $5. And you'll do that program for 9 months. Once you complete that program, they will take your student loans out of default. You can apply for student aid again, and you no longer have to worry about those student loans hurting you, because federal student loans, they don't go away, and they can stop you from getting federal funding. They can stop you getting approved for an FHA home loan. So if you have federal student loans, call your servicer and see if you qualify for rehabilitation. You can only do rehabilitation one time. If you don't qualify for the rehabilitation program, you can try to get your student loans consolidated. But if you get your student loans consolidated and not rehabilitated, the default mark will remain on your credit reports for those student loans. So it's always best to get them rehabilitated, because that does remove that derogatory mark from your credit report. If you have late payments reporting on your credit report, if your late payments are with a closed account and it is less than 3, you can try to request a goodwill to get those removed. If the account has more than 3 late payments, I would aim at challenging the account with the credit bureaus to get the entire account deleted from my credit reports. If you have more than 3 late payments reporting, you're going to seem like a repeat offender. So it's going to be hard for you to get a goodwill adjustment on those late payments. So you would have to go about getting the entire account removed from your credit reports. And if the account is closed and you don't owe a balance on it, after you dispute that account so many times, they'll either update that information, correct that information, or they'll just delete the entire account. Have late payments reporting on an open account. If it is more than 3, I would ask for a goodwill adjustment. You can request a goodwill adjustment, but I don't know if they would remove those late payments. That's not the only way to go about it. If you're reviewing your credit reports and you can actually find, or you actually see a reporting error with those late payments, you can get those late payments removed. by factual disputing, because the information should be reporting the same. So you can check the payment history on the account and make sure that it is consistent among the 3 credit bureaus. If it's reporting inconsistently, you can dispute those late payments to try to get them deleted that way. Okay, you guys, since we've discussed the do's and the don'ts, where to start the process, handling your personal information, collections, charge-offs, inquiries, bankruptcies, student loans, late payments, now let's talk about the quickest and fastest way to increase your credit scores, you guys. And that's going to be with your credit utilization. If you don't have a credit card, you're missing points in that category. If you have a credit card and your credit card is maxed out, or you have more than 30% of your credit limit reporting as a balance to the credit bureaus, that's hurting your scores as well. Credit utilization is 30% of your credit score, which is 165 points. And that is the quickest way to get your credit scores to increase or decrease. And I say that because if you don't have a credit card, your scores will never go over 680. And that's a mathematical thing. And you'll have to have almost a perfect credit score to get it that high. If you don't have a credit card and you open a credit card, your credit scores are going to jump 50 to 100 points just by opening a credit card. But once you open that credit card, you're going to have to keep your balances low. More than 10% of your credit limit. So you wouldn't want the credit bureaus to report a balance of more than $50 on a credit card with a $500 credit limit. You can spend the money, but you have to be responsible with your credit cards. If you go over that 10%, the more and more you go over 10% credit utilization, the more and more your scores start to drop. Once you get to 30% and you go over 30% of your credit cards, credit limit, your scores are going to drop 50 to 100 points. Because it's going to seem as if you're irresponsible or you're in a tight for money and you're not handling your finances correctly because your credit cards are maxed out or the balances are too high on them. So if you need a quick boost in your credit scores, if you don't have a credit card, open up a credit card. If you got a family member and they have good credit and you know that their credit utilization is the proper limit, and it's low, it's at 10% or less, ask them to add you as an authorized user. That'll help your credit scores. If your credit utilization is too high, you can also be added to someone else's credit card to get your credit utilization down. But make sure that their credit utilization is not too high because it won't help you. If their credit utilization is over 10%, it's not going to help you. So you want to make sure whoever card you get added on, if you go that route with your friend or family member, just make sure that their balance is always low on that card. Or you can simply pay your balances down. As soon as you pay your balances down on your credit card to under 30%, your scores are going to go up. And the more and more you pay your balances down till you get to under that 10%, the more and more your credit scores are going to rise. So a credit card and the way you handle a credit card is the quickest way to increase or decrease your credit scores. Because if you got that same $500 credit card and it reports to the credit bureau and it reports a balance of $250, your score is going to drop 50 to 100 points. Then you can turn around and you can pay that balance down and it reports to the credit bureau the next month. It reports a $50 balance. Your score is going to shoot up. Having a credit card and the way you handle your credit card and be responsible with that credit card, that can increase or decrease your scores drastically, you guys. You made it this far. Thank you. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed this video. If I taught you something, give me a thumbs up down in the comments. Let me know what I taught you. If you have a question about something or if I missed something, let me know that in the comments as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe the video. And you guys can do me a favor and share it with somebody. Share this information with somebody that you think it may help. Until next time.